So how are you?
I am great. I am, concerned like everybody is, but focused on the positive. Mr. Rogers, look at the helpers, look at the people who are, bringing joy and happiness and a glass half full.
Yeah, I have to tell you, there are some really good things that have come out of this isolation sort of thing over the weekend. Didn't leave. My son and I were just holed up, and I've done some things, and I want our listeners to embrace this too, that they probably haven't done in a while. And I know you recently wrote about this, Lisa, and if you want to learn more about Lisa, go to her website, lisadietlin.com, Dietlin.com. And so basically, I've started cooking soups again. I haven't cooked soups in forever, Lisa.
I'm doing that too.
It's like,
I love Abgo lemon soup. I think that's how you say it, the Greek soup. And I'm like, well, I got stock, I got chicken, I got lemons. Let's try this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could make this.
Well, what I love about your messages is that you did have a sort of like a near-death experience in the sense that you were literally hit by a taxi in rush hour, knocked out of your shoes. You landed on the hood of the taxi, slid off, then it ran over you and then backed over you, which is so awesome. And as you were waiting in the ER, you heard a very clairaudient message that was an angel or spirit or God or whatever, your guides. What do you attribute it to? Do you think it was God, Lisa?
I do. I think it was God or the universe, as I like to say, as my thoughts and beliefs are evolving. But, the voice came very clear. I'm laying on the gurney under the sign that says decontamination shower, and I'm like, what does that mean? And, I was living a life that was very stress-filled, as I imagine a lot of people are right now, and, focused on all the meetings I had and all the things I had to do. And the voice I heard said, it's all BS except happiness and joy. And I've told you this, Jen, I looked around like, who is saying that? Because it kept repeating, and I realized pretty quickly it was a message for me to slow down, smell the roses, take some time. And with people being frustrated about this self distancing, social distancing and self-quarantining, I always think, but I hear you on the other side talking about all the things you don't have time to do. Now you have the time to do them.
Yes, and there's another thing. We are going to have somebody on from the Paws from all the shelters around Chicago. Right. Now is the perfect time to adopt an animal. First of all, the animals are soothed by you. You are soothed by the animals. And it's the perfect time because you have time to train it, get it adjusted if it needs training. I always rescue a dog that's already trained. That's my prerequisite. But still, it's just that happens. And then you also suggested, Lisa, to your readers to try something new, like that thing they've always wanted to do. You wanted to learn to paint? Now's your time.
You want to learn to knit. You want to learn to croquet, make soups, right. That there's all these things that we say we want to try to do, whether it's, exercise. I'd like to walk. You can walk. You can still go outside. I know we're frowning on and asking people to refrain from going to gyms and workout facilities, but you can go for a walk. You can go for a hike. Maybe you haven't picked up a camera in a while, and I know we do a lot with our phones. Maybe if you're like me, you have all these old pictures you need to organize, and there's some home projects. I dove into a closet over the weekend that needed a little bit of help, Maybe you've got that WD-40 that you need to put on some door hinges, or you got the silver that's been tarnished. Don't ever have time to do that with my jewelry. And, and then also taking care of yourself. Are you breathing? Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Repeat that, 3 times, Are you, tending to yourself, and then are you friending other people? Carolyn's right, we do not have to be separated. I have been texting and calling people and reaching out and how are you? And, laughing. You got to laugh to get through this. Meditate. There's the free yoga videos online that you can do yoga. There's so much you can do right now that perhaps you haven't been doing for yourself and or your family. And this is a great idea I heard. For those of listeners who have kids at home and they're wondering what to do, oh my gosh, I heard, why not have them write notes to people in senior centers or people in the hospitals or people that are shut-ins right now, socially isolated because they have to be quarantined, or draw pictures for them. And, send them to the administrator at the hospital or send them to the administrator at the senior center. Parents are looking for projects for their kids. Let's write to people who might be a little bit quarantined.
Yeah, and they can't get any visitors to come in, but they can always get something to read and a beautiful little painting or something. That's a great idea. And with the last couple minutes here, Lisa, what other, is there something that people can do who are healthy to help those that are isolated by not, of course, putting themselves or them or the others at risk,
right.
remotely, like volunteering?
There's a couple of things. First of all, we know there's a need in many, many communities that have children that receive free and reduced lunches for food. So support your food banks. If you're grocery shopping, maybe think about purchasing an equal amount of food for a food bank and dropping it off at your local pantry, your food shelter. Maybe it's a single mom next door with the 3 kids, that, if you make a batch of soup, make it a little bit bigger and drop some off. So think about, that's a pretty basic thing. There's been a lot on the news about grocery stores. Be a little bit generous of heart. Be a virtual volunteer. Many nonprofits are sending, their workers home, but they still need work done. Check in with your favorite nonprofits. My guess is that Paws in Chicago has a way for you to go and walk the dogs and, play with the cats during this time if you're healthy. And then the third thing, make a donation. Even if it's a small donation, that would be something that you could do financial. I would also encourage us to think globally. This is a massive global issue. And, if you're forwarding things, first of all, is it credible? Does it come from a credible source? And is it something that's going to add value? Is it something that's going to create hate, or is it going to be hurtful? Let's put down the negativity and send things to each other that are helpful, not hurtful. And the last thing I'd say is, don't be afraid of what we don't know. I know there's a lot of finger pointing. Maybe learn about a culture. If you've always wanted to learn a language, or you wanted to, learn about a culture that perhaps is doing something. Right now we're hearing a lot about Italy under quarantine. Maybe learn about Italy a little bit more. Where is Milan? Where is Florence? Where is Rome situated? That could also be an activity for your kids. Just look at a map. We don't look at maps anymore.
Well, now we just look at it to see which ones are red and which one has this many, which one, the big red blob.
I want to know what's going on in West Virginia. There are no cases. So somebody can tell me that. But this is a great time to come together. And Jen, you and I have done this a few times where we've had that virtual glass of wine. Whether we're really drinking or not, we pick up the phone and we talk to each other. And we either have a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, in our hand. And I do that with a lot of friends throughout the country. Just say, let's have wine time. But you're at your place and I'm at my place, and we're going to catch up.
That's right. We're going to just feel like we're sitting next to each other. LisaDietlin.com is where you can find Lisa's information. Always a joy to have you on the show.